being lynched, thrown out the window, which is really, if you think about it, it happens in every culture. I mean, people kill people in every culture. Okay, well, somebody's going to object and says, Walid, you know, murders happen all the time. But the difference between our culture and your culture is that in your culture, if such event happened, you don't have the entire men of Ramallah standing there in the middle of the square in Ramallah on photo, in film, praising as loud as they can, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. You don't have this kind of culture here where you see body parts and internals and intestines in a platter in which the children are coming and carrying pieces of the body parts, praising Allah in a euphoric fashion. That doesn't exist in this culture, but it exists in mine. I mean, after Israel left, and nobody wants to have the guts to say it, my country has become the night of the living dead, literally. Not allegoric, literal. People, bodies being dragged in the streets of Bethlehem and Ramallah and everywhere. People being lynched upside down for their support to Israel. In fact, I have 5 minutes to live right now if I decided to go back to my country. 5 minutes. Why? Because I simply changed my religion. I simply stopped believing that Allah is God and Muhammad is the Prophet of Allah. I am a kafir. As a kafir, I must die. In fact, I remember when I began to express my views to my family, I got a phone call. We always get a phone call. I got a phone call from my brother. He says, I talked to your uncle back home. You have no more land. Your land is gone. Confiscated. I said, by what right? I have the deed to my land. I purchased it with my own money. He says, you've changed your religion. If you want your land back, you must go back to Bethlehem court, Sharia law, and declare the Shahadatan. Go back to Islam, or else you will lose all your land. So I had a follow-up question and answer time. I said, then the Jews didn't steal my land. All my life, the Jews stole our land. All my life, I knew very well that Tahir al-Husseini sold land to the Jewish National Fund. My grandfather sold land to the Jewish National Fund. The Supreme Muslim Council sold land to the Jewish National Fund. Yasser Arafat's uncle sold land to the Jewish National Fund. My grandfather was going to be executed for selling land to the Jewish National Fund by Abdul Qadir al-Husseini, the leader of the Palestinian Revolution, for selling land to Jews. Way before the establishment of the State of Israel. The Jews didn't steal my land, you stole my land. I began to realize that in my culture, you can't change your mind. I changed my mind and I want to speak at a university. And the Muslim Student Association went up in arms. Why? In Michigan, the Muslim Student Association issued edicts, leaflets outside, how I'm such a false guy, how I'm made up, I'm a Zionist conspirator, I'm a lying, fabricating liar. In fact, they said even the mentor of Walid Shoebat, I was mentored in the United States of America by Jamal Saeed. I don't know how many of you know Jamal Saeed. He's been said to be a colleague of Abdullah Azzam, the mentor of Osama bin Laden, who's free in Chicago right now. He's free. Bridgeview Mosque raised funds for Hamas. I have him on video. All the truth is the truth. And they said there is no Jamal Saeed, it doesn't even exist. I said, if you get your spelling correct, it's Jamal-Said, Saeed, not S-A-Y-E-D. You would Google the name and you'd find out for yourselves. Till today, they haven't even issued an apology for their mistakes. I don't know what to say. Basically, in 1993, I began, 1991 actually, 1991, something began to change about my life. I took a trip to Israel. I wanted to visit home. Here I was a Muslim sitting in the plane, and next to me was a Jewish lady. I didn't want her to even know that I was a Palestinian. I never really talked to a Jew all my life living in Palestine. The only language I knew was the bad language. I can tell you some Hebrew bad language that I cussed through the fire line in all the demonstrations that I went through. I began to have a chat with her, but I didn't want her to know that I was an Arab. So I didn't roll my R's. Ma'am, my name is Bill. I'm from California. You know. I'm going over here as a pilgrim to visit the Holy Land, you know. I disguised myself as a Christian, you know. And she began to talk to me, you know. I said, wow, first time I'm talking to a Jew. I began to ask her a question. Ma'am, do you have any children? She said, well, I have 2 daughters in the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces. Wow. I said, ma'am, how do you feel that your kids kill Arabs? I mean, they're in the military. They shoot Arabs in demonstrations. They kill Arabs. How do you feel about that? To my shock, she began to sob. Took out my handkerchief. She began to wipe her tears. I said, why are you crying? She says, I hate the idea of my daughters killing Arabs. We love Arabs. Maybe she uncovered who I am. So you love Arabs? She says, yeah, we love Arabs. We got no problems with Arabs. Then I went, of course, Israelis check thoroughly if you're Palestinian. They give you a different card versus a white card for the tourists because my birthplace was Jordan on the passport. So I had to go to interrogation and all kinds of things like that. And of course, I had to exit in a different area because, again, I'm Palestinian. There's more security precautions. And as I met my uncle, and second, third day, fourth day, for the whole month, I've been taking trips all over the land. And during those trips, I remember getting in the car with my uncle, and there was something that kind of was unsettling with me. I wasn't used to the graffiti that I saw all over the walls. Because I lived in America for a lot of years, and I used to gang graffiti. I said, Uncle, I can't find a square meter of wall in the entire country. You took me on a tour to Ramallah, everywhere. I couldn't find a square meter that didn't have graffiti. What kind of graffiti? Well, one of the graffiti was saying, نقرع أبواب الجنة بجماجم اليهود. We knock on the gates of heaven with the skulls of Jews. Uncle, why must we enter heaven by knocking on the gates of heaven with the skulls of Jews? Isn't there a different way to go to paradise? And then I took a taxi cab one point in time. I wanted to go to Hebron. I went to Hebron in this taxi cab from Jerusalem. And by the time I reached Hebron, there was an incident that happened in front of my own eyes that really began to change my mind. As an American critical thinker, I began to ask myself questions. There was this mob of Arabs who began to stone this Jewish bus of Kiryat Arba. There was a community called Kiryat Arba that used to take this Jewish bus, and take them home. And as I looked at this bus, I could barely see the bus from the amounts of stones that were being hailed like locusts on this bus. You could look at the bus, you could see bars, wire mesh, and bulletproof glass. And I began, the guy wanted to make a U-turn and get out of the situation. I said, stop right here, I want to see this. So I rolled down my window, and I looked in awe. He says, why are you surprised? I said, I'm surprised because I'm asking myself the question, why are these people not allowed to live amongst us? I mean, we have 1.2 million Arabs living in Israel proper. They go to mosques, they pray towards Mecca, they're full free citizens, they can vote. Why are they allowed to live there, but Jews are not allowed to live in Palestinian proper? Why is that? Of course, that's a stupid question. In fact, it's a stupid question even in our Western culture. Because one Jewish rabbi had a bumper sticker in his car. It says on it, Jerusalem for the Jews. I said, Rabbi, you got the wrong bumper sticker. You need to put a bumper sticker that says, on top of it, that says, Mecca for the Muslims. I said, why? I'm not a Muslim. I said, just put the bumper sticker, Mecca for the Muslims. And when somebody stops you and asks you, why are you putting this bumper sticker, Mecca for the Muslims, then peel off this bumper sticker and show him Jerusalem for the Jews. Ah! A Jew walks on the Temple Mount and it's a problem. The whole world is up in arms. The Pope makes a statement and the whole world is up in arms. Effigies of the Pope being burned all throughout the world. But yet one set of dogma fits, but it doesn't fit for these guys. These guys are allowed to be that way. We're not allowed to have critical thinking to criticize a religion. Criticizing a religion is not racism. Criticizing a religion is a freedom of speech. I had many family members who died. I look at it back, and as I rewind back, I look at my cousin Ra'id, the 16-year-old boy, who wanted to go and put explosives on Ben Yehuda Street to kill Jews. Of course, the Israelis, when they know you have explosives in the car, sometimes they shoot first and they ask questions later. What do you want him to do? You want it to be American-style kind of justice. Okay. Sir, you have a right to remain silent. You have a right for a Jewish lawyer. Here's a couple of shekels, and you can make a phone call. Boom. Everybody dies. My cousin Ra'id, 16-year-old boy, didn't deserve to die. He was killed by Israeli bullets, yes. How did my family react? My Aunt Fatima, she had a wedding festivity in the village. A wedding celebration. And the entire community came to congratulate my Aunt Fatima because now Ra'id is in heaven. He is interceding for 70 members of his family so they can also enter paradise. All my life as a Muslim, I criticized the Christians because the Christians believed in Jesus and his blood redemptive act that, remitted sins and wiped out all the sins of mankind if they believe. Because Islam as a religion rejected the idea of intercession. You can't intercede. Nobody can intercede for somebody else to go to heaven. That's the Islamic dogma. No Muslim will disagree with me with that. وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. No one can intercede for somebody else. Yet, as I began to think about it, I said,